Hi guys, so for customer today, we're doing a Lincoln Zephyr. The starter is weak, so the battery is new. But when you start it, it whines like if the battery is bad, and it takes a little long for it to actually start. And here and there, when you're trying to start it, it would just click off. Like all of a sudden, the starter just quit on you, and you holding the key, and it doesn't crank anymore. So we're gonna replace the starter on it. We gotta take the battery trade off and the battery off, and the starter I believe is down on that side, so we might not even have to remove any of this stuff but to get down there. So we're gonna start off with 10 here in the bracket. We got an 8 I believe here in the battery terminals, and we might just take this one off just to be able to move the cables around easily. We're gonna take that, and I believe the trade has about 3 bolts on it. We got this cable here. We got these little cables holding up to the tray. We're gonna unhook those, and let's see what we find underneath. So let me get that situated, started, and let's get to it. Alright guys, so we took the tray off. Let's set the pins here, pin right there, and there's another pin right here on the tray. And then you got the cables going on the side of the tray. This right here, it has, I don't know if you can see a little lever there on the side here. See it right there. You just basically pull down on it so it would leach from the tray. And then there is a starter. It's really hot right now, and we started it only a few times, so that means that it's really whining. So this starter is a little bit different than any other starter. It faces down. I'll show you guys how it looks in a minute on the new one. So now we've got to try to make space for us to take it out, and we got crazy amount of holes that might be really fragile, so you don't want to really be janking anything around. So let's see. Oof, yeah, she's really burning, and if you smell it, it smells like burn. So yeah, I might have to just take this off, and maybe the throttle body, just to be able to get some of the bolts that it has on the bracket, because there's plenty of hoses there that I do not want to remove just because of the plastic connections on them. See, like this big T right here, or Y that you want to call it, that's going to be really fragile, and that's like the thermostat housing itself. So I don't want to touch that unless I really have to. We have another T over here coming out of the throttle body. We got a fuel lines. I mean, we got quite a bit of stuff, and one of the bolts for the starter is all the way down there. So I think it'll be easy if I go straight down on it and trying to go into an angle. So I might just have to remove the throttle body to be able to get to the 2 bolts that are on that side, and the ones on this side I should be able to get to them. I don't think with a lot of problems. So yeah, let me make some room here, and then I'll keep you guys posted. Alright guys, so basically right now I'm trying to, like always, do it the easiest way without having to complicate myself too much. So we're ready to make room here, so I can see the bolt over here on this side. And I already disconnected the 13 here for the cable and the 10 for the bottom cable. I know this thing keeps on being on the way. So now I'm trying to take the bolt. The starter only has 2 bolts. It has 2 guide pins and 2 bolts. So if you can see here through the EGR, straight down, I don't know if you can trace down, that's my extension. And down there, I don't know if you can pick it up, but basically, let's see if I could try to get some light down there so you can see where the bolt is. There it is. If this thing could just focus. But you see it right there. See that? The green socket right there? That's where the bolt is. And that's my extension coming up all the way up to here. So I do have a swivel on it on the bottom. And I have my socket there. So you can use that as a reference. You should be able to get that one bolt out and then jump to the next one. Alright, so let me get that one out and let's figure out a way for the other one. Alright guys, so now let's see if you can see that green socket right there. That's where the other bolt is for the starter. And I put a short extension that goes up to like here, and then the longer one that goes all the way out to here. So yeah, straight shot basically. I'm gonna take that one off and then I should be able to move the starter, and then all I'll have to play with it will be the transmission shift cable to be able to get it out. So alrighty, let me get that bolt out and let's go for it. Alright, so the starter is loose. Now I just moved the shift cable. You can see these little pins right here on the side. They go in a hole on the bracket. Those holes here on the bracket. So as long as you pull them back that way, as long as you can pull them back a little bit and wiggle this, it's going to come out of the holes, and then you should be able to slide this cable off. You should get a little bit more room so that we can try to get that starter out. But as you can see, it's already loose. So let me get it out and let's see how we can do about putting it back in. Alright, so basically what I did is I just pull up on the back end. You got to pull a little bit hard so you can push the solenoid against the hoses a little bit, and then you just pull back, and then you got to move the cable a little bit, and other than that it comes out. Other than that it comes out. So see if I can finish taking it out. Here we go. Alright, so that's how that starter looks. It's really weird. And right now I'm holding it on my hands, but it's really burning. So you might want to not start it a few times like I did, but I was trying to test it out for the customer. So now all we have to do is just make sure that we don't have any debris on the face there of the transmission where the bolts down. So we make sure that we have a flat mounting bracket to it, flat surface. And let me put the new one in. And like always, whatever starter you buy on Advanced Auto Part, Napa, O'Reilly, anywhere, test them out first before you put them in. Because if you don't, in the past I have had the issue where I get the starter, put it in, and not cranking, or it will crank, it will start the car, but I have had as fast as less than 24 hours where it has quit it. So test them a few times before you get them out of the store. That way you save yourself a little bit of time. So yeah, let me get the new one in, put it in, and now the process is just backwards. I'm putting it back together. So let me put that in and then I'll show you guys. Alright, so the starter is in. I still have not put the bolt in yet, but I don't know if you can pick it up. Make sure that you stick your hand through here and grab the starter on the head of it, and make sure that it sits flat before you, and try putting any of the bolts in. Just because you don't want to cross thread any of the two bolts, you only have two bolts in. It's really a pain in the neck to be able to tap or clear that thread. So let me, by hand or with a magnet, set the bolts in there and then tie it down by hand, so later we can put the the ratchet on it. Alright, let me get to it. Alright, so our 2 bolts are back in. You can see one right there, and then the other one's on the other side. I don't know if you can pick it up, but you can still stick your hand to the side here and you can grab that one, no issues with your hand. I just don't know if the camera can pick it up, my hand on there. But anyways, it's just a straight where I showed you guys. So now I just gotta put the wiring back on, put the intake manifold on, the battery and whatnot. Now before I put everything completely back together, I'm gonna put the intake manifold back on, and the battery, I'm just gonna place it in place. I'm not gonna put the trade and all that stuff, because what I want to do is I want to try it out before I finalize putting everything back together. Okay, so let me put the wiring, the shift cable back in place. I'm gonna put the battery in place. I'm gonna put the intake, just so we don't get any codes on the manifold sensor or a map, and we should be able to fire it right up and see what we got. All right, let's try it. So as you can see, we put everything back together. Don't forget about this guy here. Okay, so you don't want to break it off. You can take this cover off if you really want to, but I didn't need to. So make sure that you put your clamp, your sensor. Still gotta tie down that clamp right there. And I just put the battery just like that, just to see if it will start. So I'm gonna give it a shot right now. If it's gonna start, and then if it does, which it should, we take the battery back out, put the trade, and start putting everything back together. Yeah, we'll be right back. Okay, guys, so this is just for you guys can listen in here to that starter now. That's the way a starter should sound. Not the whining, slow cranking and that it had. So as long as it starts like this every time, you're perfect. Alright, so now let me get the battery back out, put the tray, make sure that everything is tight, and job done. Be right back. Alright, so basically everything is back together. The cables that go in the tray, I'm gonna put back in. The sensor, the tight over here, the bracket itself. So everything is put back together where it was. I even cleaned the terminals on the battery just to make sure that we have good contact. So yeah, job done. Like always, guys, share, like, subscribe. If this video helped you out, put a like on it. It really does help me out with YouTube, so they could push my video forward and get more views, and try to get more views on the videos. So yeah, if it helped you, put a like on it if you can, and like always, guys, I'll see you in the next one. Later.